Hey, how are you doing? How's everything going?
It's going great. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. So,
Good.
I just wanted to know if you can start by introducing yourself and sharing a bit about you.
Sure. So my name is Demetrius Burrell. I am the owner of DNA Testing Associates. We are in the Carolinas, so Charlotte, Columbia, South Carolina area. Um, we've been, rapidly expanding our offerings. We got into the business this year. Kind of saw an opportunity to be able to grow a business, a very lucrative business, a recession proof business, something that's always in demand, and was looking at it and actually saw one of your initial videos and then looked into your program and came on board.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you, there are other people out there who teach how to get into the DNA testing industry. What led you to make the decision to join my program?
So one of the things is that your just the in depth of your information that you actually were given. So it wasn't just swab someone, send it in. It was this is what you're looking for. This is the type of this is the knowledge that you have to have. This is what the test actually does. So you're not just swabbing two people, sending it off. Um, you went more in detail, the different types of tests, different offerings, but also just the goal of growing the business to be a large scale, six figure, seven figure business, and
Right.
not just saying it as a um, a marketing tool, but to actually have a good, strong foundation of how to get there.
Right. In what ways do you feel that I help you specifically when it came to starting and growing your DNA testing business?
The biggest thing is that your availability. There are other people that are online. You can order it. You never hear from them. You don't know who they are. It could be an AI bot, as far as you know. When I've been able to call you just for consulting, bouncing ideas off of you. When I'm going to, for instance, I had a proposal with a pretty large client. That was going to that was going to basically, if the contract would have been signed, it would have brought in a lot of revenue, a lot of clients. So you were there to help walk me through certain things. Tell me these are some of the questions that the client's going to ask. Know more about the actual DNA industry. So if they were to ask you a question, you actually would actually know that. So part of um, the reason that I chose you is you were always available to assist, not just buy the product, look at it, learn it, sign up, do something else. It was I'm available to make sure that you are successful. If I have a call, no matter what time, I text you or email you, and you respond. And if I need more in depth, you're there to help as well.
Yeah, thank you. I just try to make sure that people are well prepared and they're able to handle any kind of situation when it comes to DNA testing as well as the business side.
Right.
Um, so, how have things changed for you since you completed your mentorship with
So, well, I'll keep saying that to me, the mentorship is still ongoing. It's always, it's
me?
like every day, it's like, hey, Ray, what about this? But just from the initial part of it, it's giving me a strong foundation. And I'll say that you have to, if you're in this business, you have to have a good business acumen, because what you're doing is you're really in the end of the day, if you're doing DNA and you're not ethical, if you don't have a strong ethical background, you're dealing with inheritance, multi-million dollar inheritance, paternity, legal, lawsuits, and even to the point where you do something wrong, if you are not following proper chain of custody, proper protocols, you can literally upend someone's life, for their entire life. And then there are also issues for professional liability, where you're not conducting yourself ethically or making sure you're following the rules. You open yourself up to so many legal potential pitfalls. So I think that one of the things that I like from your program is that you equip your people with knowledge versus not just This is how you do a swab, and this is how you send it in. But this is how you actually grow your business. This is how you scale your business. And don't just look at it from doing a swab here or there. You may want to do this as a part-time opportunity, but I think that for me, I see it as you provide resources to make this a full-time, six-figure, multinational, if you will, business for the long term.
Yeah, exactly. So I taught you how to get contracts. How did that go?
Knocked it out the box first one. My first contract that I actually got was with a major PI firm, and we had a conversations. We had a couple conversations before I went in and pitched the person. I told you this is what I was going to do. You basically said, okay, you also need to say this. You need to add this. You need
Right,
to put this. One of the bigger things that you talked about was making sure that you price yourself appropriate for your market, but know your competitors, know who you actually are competing against so that you're not undercutting yourself. Um, so it's a lot of legwork. You told me the legwork of this. If you go after this contract, this is what they're going to be looking for. These are your competitors. These are the key players. And a lot of people aren't providing that information. They may give you a little list of companies or categories, but they don't tell you how to go after a municipality. This is who you need to go to look at. These are some of the things that you need to do. So I think that's really important. If you're going to do this business and you want to go get contracts, you really have to be focused on the business side of the DNA business because contracts dealing with government procurement agencies, that's a whole separate job in itself.
right, right. So you were going after a county contract.
Mhm.
How did that go? Did you end up getting it? What happened?
It went very well. And it was the information that when I remember one of the things that you specifically said, listen, when you go in to this meeting, these are some of the things that you need to know. This is who the major player is. So how are you going to position yourself against them? Not only what you can deliver, things of that nature. So when I went in, I was able to talk to them to make sure that my bid was competitive, make sure
Right.
that my bid was in line so that I don't necessarily undercut myself, but that I was really competitive in getting that particular contract with that particular municipality.
That's great. What's something from the program that really stuck with you or was really like profound or made a big difference for you?
The biggest thing is, and I still go back and look at some of the things, is how you would break down the different tests of what it actually is and what they're looking for. And a lot of people think because they're so used to seeing the different television shows, you are not the father, and and not even understanding that's not how the test results come back. That's not what you're looking at. That's not what you're doing. Um, because it's science and science is where it is, and you also have to know that it's not exact, but you have to understand a little bit of science behind DNA and how it actually works and what they're looking for and probability and being excluded. So we see on television where the people are, you're not the father, and they run off the stage and roll around backstage, all of that, but that's not what paternity really is. But one of the other things are so many other opportunities that we don't even think about. We think about pets, and you think about post-mortem, immigration, different things. I think a lot of times people will actually say, "Do you know that you can make $50,000 doing immigration?" But you have no idea what the paperwork is involved, the embassy, getting how that actually works, the process of those things. So I think that what I get from you is a detailed instructions on the different variables within DNA and how to maneuver, not just here's a packet and go do it. And you really call someone, you get a meeting and you don't know what you're talking about, and they know you don't know what you're talking about, and you kind of really mess it up for the entire industry because they get hundreds of calls a day from people claiming to be the best and greatest fraternity testing organization there is, but you don't even know basic basic stuff.
Right, right. Yeah. And that's very important because if you don't know the basic stuff, people are not going to take you serious. And
Right.
that's something that I always try to teach people because when you're trying to pitch your service to different professionals and different businesses, you don't want to sound like a fool. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. You go in, if you they can most businesses will can tell if you don't have basic business acumen. If you
Mhm.
can't even have a basic business conversation, then you're coming out of the gate, you're not going to be taken seriously because when it gets down to, the major parts of the different services that you're offering to try to get a contract, they are not going to want to deal with you because you lack just basic business sense.
Right. So, what advice would you give to someone who's just getting started with DNA testing?
I would say learn as much as you can about the industry. It is not going to be a fast money. You're not going to come in and make $100,000 your first month. You possibly could, but that's not really going to happen. Have a good business foundation where you
Right.
actually understand how business works. When you're marketing your company, when you're out and about, knowing that if you start small, um, every day you need to be talking to someone about the services that you offer. You need to have a good hit list of every day there are times that I can say if you're going to grow your business and you're going to scale your business, then you have to be marketing your business every day to some company, some category. If you're not sending out emails, if you're not doing phone calls or follow-ups or some type of campaign, you're not going to be successful because you can just look at the amount of people that are getting into the industry one way or another or claiming they're in the industry, but they are not successful because they have the expectation that I pay a couple $100s to this person. They send me some Q-tips and or some paperwork, and now I'm the best thing. But you don't even know how to do an elevator pitch where the person won't even invite you into their space because you're not prepared. You don't have the basics to be a business.
Exactly. And that's the most important thing. I tell people anybody could learn how to do a DNA test. Anybody
Right,
could swab somebody's mouth. It's the other aspect, it's the business aspect that a lot of people struggle with. And this is
right,
why I teach both. I don't just teach DNA testing, I don't just teach business. I teach DNA testing business.
right,
Um, procedures, methods, techniques, and strategies so that a person can take this and scale it to six figures and beyond.
right.
So, my last question for you is there anything else you'd like to share? Any final thoughts or reflections?
Yeah. First, I'll thank you for just always being there, being the advocate for the industry,
You're welcome.
um, growing the business. I think that you have a vested interest in people who invest in you.
Right.
And I think you said that you like, hey, if you spend your hard-earned money for my program, then I want you to be successful. Because basically each one teaches one.
Right.
So, I basically, like I said, the only thing that I knew about DNA in the beginning was what you saw on the television shows, the court shows, and but now going into it, um, it is a very lucrative business, but you have to have a good mindset. You have to basically be confidential. You have to make sure that you're ethical, that you're protecting people's privacy because you're dealing with people's lives and children's and inheritance and everything else that comes along with it. So you not only have to be a good person or good moral standards, you have to be a good ethical business person and have some good guiding principles. And then you're able to move throughout and make the money and be successful and be a resource to other people.
Yeah, that is so true. A lot of people don't understand these things. And when they get into this business, it's so difficult for them because they didn't have any guidance, they weren't prepared. So everything you said is exactly what people need to hear, and is great advice and information for people. So I thank you so much
Oh,
for sharing your experience.
mhm.
As you know, anytime you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. And I just wish you much more success in your business. You've already had a lot of success. Wish you even more. And I know you're going to achieve your goals and get where you want to be.
Yeah, cool. Thank you so much for just always being an advocate and being in our corner.
You're welcome. You have a good one, okay?
You too. Thank you.
All right.